All right. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to those of you who are joining us live. Welcome to those of you who are joining our recording later. If you're joining us live, feel free to go ahead and share your screen. I'm sorry. Good Lord. Do not share your screen. Share your information in the chat and introduce yourself. And we'd love to get to know you and what school you're at or what company you're with if you're one of our mentors. Welcome to everybody. Give me 1 second while I figure out this lovely new computer. All right, today's agenda, we are going to cover just indoor water projects. So we are really focused on what you can do if you are a school who has not started a project or isn't quite sure what to do right now for your Green Schools Quest project, or if you tried a project that was unsuccessful and um, didn't quite go the way that you wanted, and now you're kind of scrambling and it's cold outside. And so we're going to cover a lot of indoor water project examples or ideas. I'll give you a little rundown of some upcoming events, and then we can network and problem solve with those of you who are live. Wow, I'm sorry, I'm slow at this new computer. I apologize. So my name is Deborah Rogers Curtis, and I am the Green Schools Coordinator. But prior to being the Green Schools Coordinator, I was actually a middle school teacher and then an elementary principal. This picture here is the school that I was a principal at in St. Louis Public Schools, and at Patrick Henry, we won the National Green Ribbon Award in 2023. And the only reason I bring all of that background up is to kind of explain that a lot of what we're going to talk about tonight is actually from my own personal and professional experience as a teacher and as a principal, and projects that we took on because we were in a very, very old building. As you can see, it's beautiful, but it was old and it had a lot of problems. So we took on a lot of sustainability initiatives to win that Green Ribbon Award, and to just better our school community and environment. So we had quite a lot of support and a lot of district initiatives as well. So, but a lot of what we're going to talk about tonight are things that I've done personally. So please, if you have questions, I am very well versed in the information that I'm going to be sharing today. So let's jump right on in. I want to talk about some examples of free water projects. These are things that literally cost no money, and it's very exciting. Money is always a barrier to projects, but the idea of the Green Schools Quest is that you actually don't need to spend any money at all. So for upper elementary students and above, so upper elementary, middle, and high school students, one of the first things I would recommend trying with your kiddos that is not very time consuming is analyzing the water usage of your building. That's a really important first step for students to know how much water is used, how much water is wasted, and how much water is actually polluted by their school. And one way to understand all of those things is to ask your school leadership or your district leadership for a copy of your utility bills, specifically water, and ask your students to create a spreadsheet that analyzes your school's usage of water over time. It's really important to ask for several months, or if a lot of people do quarterly water bills, years is even better, but not every school or district saves their records for that long. So if you can analyze over time, the goal is that you are looking for a baseline, and so you're trying to take an average over several months. And schools, amazingly enough, do not have consistent water usage at all because most schools are not very operational in the summer. Now, some districts, that is not true at all. Some schools, their building is used morning, noon, and night, and it is all summer long, go, go, go. So it's really dependent upon your school, but many schools will have a large dip in their utility usage and bills over the summer. Some of them also have an extremely high water usage bill in comparison to another school in their district that might even be the same size. And analyzing that information is actually incredibly helpful because sometimes your students can actually find a leak in the system. That happened with one of our schools that was pretty awesome, and the kids got to explain to their district, and then they got to help them save a ton of money, which is really cool. So I think it's especially important to be able to look at your water usage. It is very helpful if there are other schools that are willing to share their water usage so you can compare. And high schoolers, middle schoolers, and upper elementary students are really, really good at analyzing the data and determining a conservation plan. I also think it's a really important tie-in to the Missouri State Learning Standards to make sure that they are creating some kind of visual of their data. That's a really important part of many of the different grade levels and their various learning standards. Another free or not very time-consuming project, and also does not require any data. So in case you can't get to your school's data, is creating a water conservation informational campaign for your school. Canva is suggested here just as an example of many free design tools that are out there. I know some school districts do not allow Canva and don't allow some of the other design tools, but there are so many that are free. Canva is the most widely used by schools at this point, so it's just an example. But even if you have access to some paid services, or even just as simple as a Word document and creating beautiful things in Microsoft Office, I think is also perfectly acceptable. The screenshot here is from Canva, and this is just an example of things that are pre-made, the templates that are pre-done for you. I literally just typed in water conservation and maybe 100 different templated presentations, posters, flyers, etc. came up. And this is a really great way to ask your students to kind of do some research and then tweak whatever they find, which is really fun. There's also a link here to the EPA resource that's called Water Sense for Kids. And this particular website is very kid-friendly language and even has some graphics that are very kid-friendly. And it's a really great way to help kids understand conservation methods that truly they can do. This is intended for children, and what can a child do about water conservation, both at their school and at home. So this would be a great project to incorporate that school to home connection. Other research opportunities are pretty much endless when it comes to water. One particular topic that is very popular is contamination of drinking water supply, especially in St. Louis, or if you're basically anywhere in Missouri, lead-based pipes and lead paint is extremely popular in older homes. So we are also concerned about multiple lead exposures in schools. Lead is an important thing to understand, that because if you are exposed multiple times, you have a much, much higher chance of feeling the effects and the impact of lead. So testing your pipes and or your water itself is really important. But also microplastics and other contaminants that are getting into our water supply that is truly impacting children's health and all the way up into adulthood. I do want to officially say that lab certified testing is the most accurate way to test the quality of your water. However, there are several kits that can be sent to you, your school, or to an individual child's home, and they're very kid friendly. They're very adult friendly. There are so many out there. It was almost impossible for me to list them. So you could truly Google free at home or at school water testing kits, and there are lots of things that will come up. So I think it's a great idea, and kids really, it's like a science experiment for them. So truly, I think it's a very fun activity and also very eye-opening. And sometimes it can lead to real change that can truly impact a child's health. And that's a big goal of ours. All right. And an important aspect of living just about anywhere in the world is understanding the watershed in your area. Watersheds are areas that catch rain and snow and drain that water into streams, lakes, bays, rivers, oceans, etc. The Mississippi watershed is the largest in the United States, stretching 1 million square miles from the Colorado Rockies to the Appalachian Mountains. On the flip side, some watersheds are no larger than just a few square meters, little tiny baby watersheds. St. Louis, in particular, is also home to Deer Creek watershed, which is 37 square miles. This is a map of the Deer Creek watershed. So if you're familiar with the St. Louis area, you can see what a large swath that covers. And it's protected land in many ways, and it's also There's an entire group that are dedicated completely to making sure that the Deer Creek watershed is taken care of. Watershed management is essential for not only the health and quality of the water itself, but also the immense amount of life and biodiversity that it supports as a water source. So taking care of a watershed in your area is a really consistent need for a community, meaning every single year there will be a need for this specific this type of project. And sometimes that, oh no, how did I even do that? Good Lord. Sorry. Um, Sometimes this means literally going out and cleaning your watershed. Sometimes it's just picking up pollution. Other times it is much more about research and testing the water and understanding how the water is going, where the water is coming from, where it is going, and how you can better protect it. I can get to the right thing. There we go. All right. On this slide, I've listed some resources if your students are interested in researching water scarcity and reading about some simple and some very wild solutions to the freshwater crisis on Earth. I will also put in a little plug here. We have a whole set of resources in our resource library for kiddos who the climate change and all of the resource scarcity, if it really freaks them out and scares them. We have an entire folder just for climate emotions and climate stress, climate change, anxiety. There's a lot of different terms for it. But in particular, what research tells us is that students who feel empowered to make a change and to actually find a solution can handle the news of resource scarcity, but just scaring a child with scarcity information is not enough, and it will actually produce some kind of climate change anxiety. So we don't want that. So please find the emotional support resources that we also have. But also emphasize that there are some solutions out there for water scarcity, and there's a lot of amazing companies that are doing incredible things for the freshwater crisis. There are also 3 local organizations listed at the bottom of the slide that will provide workshops and educational opportunities for your students, all for free, each one specializing in a different aspect of water. You can see that photo in the top right corner. That's an example of students learning from something called the Enviroscape model, which the Missouri Botanical Garden will actually bring to your school for free, along with a staff member to help lead your students through this really awesome activity. The model helps students see the impact of human activity on waterways, and it's extremely interactive. They bring multiple models and they allow the students to set up kind of their own town or village, and then they ask them to actually pour water onto the model, and the water runs through it, and it creates waterways, it creates dams, it creates huge pollution areas. It's an awesome activity, and it's free. So I highly recommend it, especially if you have some of those intense kinesthetic learners who just have to put their hands on something. All right. A few other local resources that could support a project that requires funding include water bottle filling stations for your school or rainscaping gardens for your outdoor areas. We've talked a lot about the rainscaping program, so I don't want to spend too much time on that, but I did want to include an example of this is a very simple garden plan, and these are the kinds of things that they're looking for when you apply for a rainscaping grant. There's an entire guide that the Missouri Botanical Garden has put out there because the program is run through MSD and in partnership with the Missouri Botanical Garden. So just understanding that sometimes these do not need to be large projects. Sometimes these are very, very small projects that actually have an incredibly large impact on stormwater solutions. And so the reason this is listed for an indoor project is that there's a lot of planning and a lot of research that goes into applying for something like this. There are also many garden grants out there that are across the nation and across the state that are not just local to the MSD Botanical Garden Zone. The water bottle filling station grant, if I can go back up a few bullet points, these are pretty helpful, especially for some of our older buildings. We got several of these grants to replace ancient water stations, for lack of a better word. They were tough. Some of them were original to the building, and my building was over 100 years old. So it was tough, and we never could have afforded that. They also will sometimes fund an outdoor water bottle filling station, which is really exciting. And the whole exciting part about a water bottle filling station is not just that they will cover the cost of the equipment, but it also leads to behavior changes in students and staff. You are far more likely to bring a permanent water bottle instead of a disposable water bottle to your place of business if you have a bottle filling station and it's convenient for you. My final two slides of project ideas, they truly barely scratch the surface of readings and experiments that students can do to explore all the different topics of water. There are so many aspects of water, it was almost overwhelming to find resources. But these are simple suggestions to get your own creative brain going because we know that educators and mentors, you guys, you are the geniuses that take these projects as far as you do, and it's really incredible to watch. But if you have a great idea and you just do not have time to research it, I am happy to help you and take something off your plate. I love research, I love learning, and I love sharing resources. It is a true passion of mine. So if you come across a topic that is just you're not getting what you wanted or what you hoped to find, and you do not have time to research it, please send it to me, and I will help send you as much as I can. And I will also send you anything that is kid facing, so something that your students can read and understand themselves. I also want to make sure that I plug our large resource library in the Green Schools Quest database. There is an extremely robust folder specifically for water, and it has a lot of information in there. There's PDFs, there's lesson plans, there's experiments, there's all kinds of amazing stuff. There's literature, there's children's books, high school books. It's a pretty fantastic folder. So if you have not checked that out yet, please do. And yes, of course, I will be sending this to your email, so you will have all these links to click on. And then finally, I have just two other ideas for you that do require some money. The Ocean Guardian Schools program, this is not the program itself. This specific link will take you to the NOAA Ocean Guardian Schools from last year with a description of every single project that they took on. This is a very large document, but the great part is they go into enough detail that you could easily take their project and model off of theirs and insert it right into your building. And there's also an entire column that says how much money did you use to do this project. Some of them are like, we didn't need any money, no problem, we did it for free. Others are, oh, this was a $12,000 project. So I like that they were very upfront with how much these projects cost. And then the NASA Drop Tower Challenge. This is only designed for high schoolers, and it does require funding because you will need supplies for it. But if you are a science teacher, a math teacher, or even a literature teacher in high school, there is a component here for you. So you should definitely check that out. I'll take a brief moment to review our upcoming events in the Quest before we pause the recording and start networking with our live participants. Tomorrow night, February 10th, is Missouri Gateway Green Building Council's 25th anniversary. We are very excited to celebrate. MGGBC co-manages this program, the Green Schools Quest, and as participants, you are all invited to attend for free, and it's really fun, and there's free food and free drinks and the chance to win fantastic prizes, including city tickets, St. Louis City Soccer Club tickets. So please feel free to register. You do have to register in order to get all the information, but please register and come. It's really fun. We always have teachers present. We always have our mentors come, and we get to celebrate the work that's being done across our entire organization. On February 17th through the 19th, that is coming up very quickly. We are a promotional partner of the Green Schools Conference, which is a national conference run by the Center for Green Schools, and it's in sunny San Diego. So if today's weather got you itchy for spring and you want someplace warm, come on over, hang out with us in San Diego. Later this month, we will be kicking off our 2026 year of Missouri Green Schools. Missouri Green Schools is the next level of our programs. And so it is a separate program from the Green Schools Quest. But schools who have been in the Quest even for just 1 year are highly encouraged to enroll in Missouri Green Schools and receive more in-depth professional development. We cover water, waste, and energy tracking and conservation methods in great detail with very strong experts across the board in all of those. And enrollment is open year round. But I wanted to make sure that I gave you the plug because we always have a kickoff every year in the beginning of the new year. And so ours this year is on February 23rd. So now is a wonderful, wonderful time to enroll. On March 3rd, for the Quest, we are going to hold a virtual session on the new scoring rubric for the Green Schools Quest. There is a substantial shift between last year's rubric and this year's rubric. So even veteran schools, you should definitely plan on attending or watching the recording. On March 15th, Green Schools Quest projects are due. There's a link listed here for your final submissions, as well as a review of what materials you'll need, no matter how complete or incomplete your project is. I highly recommend submitting a final project. Don't worry about perfection. Don't worry, oh, we only got through half. It doesn't matter. Your kiddos did something great for the earth and for themselves and for their school, and you should let their work shine. On March 25th, we are asking teachers to submit short videos of student interviews for our compilation video. We'll share this video at our annual award ceremony, and we really hope we get as many students to participate so that we have a wide variety of schools and teachers and kiddos in the video. And then on April 14th, we have our annual event. This is our award ceremony where we announce the winners of our Green Schools Quest. There's two options to participate, either virtually via Zoom or in person at the Missouri History Museum. Your students also have the option to present their projects, and if they're in person, they'll bring a board like one that is pictured here on the bottom corner. And it's basically science fair style. We have tables set up and a placement for the school to put their board, and students get to speak with all of the attendees. Last year we had over 350 attendees, so there was a lot of talking and it was loud and in the best way. If your students and you are attending online, you can also present your materials with a presentation to the other virtual attendees. And if you're in person, we will have food and beverage. And of course, either way, we will be streaming the entire award ceremony and announce the winners of the Green Schools Quest. For all those watching the recording, thank you for joining us tonight. Please don't hesitate to reach out with questions. And for those of you in the live meeting, I'm going to stop recording so that we can chat about your projects. But I wanted to say thank you to everybody for sticking with this program and good luck in your last month of the Quest.